This prophecy reveals the nation the Antichrist might come from. What if I told you that buried within the pages of ancient prophecy lies a code? A code that reveals exactly where the most feared figure in human history will emerge from. You're about to discover something that biblical scholars have debated for centuries, but here's what they don't want you to know. The clues have been hiding in plain sight all along. But first, let me show you something that will make your skin crawl. Picture this. It's 553 BC. The most powerful empire in the world has just conquered your homeland. You're in exile, a prisoner in a foreign land. And then you have a dream that will haunt humanity for the next 2.5 millennia. This man's name was Daniel, and what he saw in that vision would become the roadmap for identifying the Antichrist's origin. But here's the part that will blow your mind. Daniel didn't just see one vision, he saw multiple visions, and when you piece them together, and I mean really piece them together, they point to a specific geographic region with laser-like precision. We'll show you exactly how in just a moment. But first, you need to understand what Daniel actually saw, because this is where our investigation begins. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head while on his bed. Then he wrote down the dream, telling the main facts. Daniel spoke, saying, "I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds of heaven were stirring up the great sea, and 4 great beasts came up from the sea, each different from the other." Now, most people think they understand what Daniel saw. They think it's just symbolic. But what if I told you that every single detail in this vision corresponds to actual historical empires, and that the final beast contains a hidden clue about modern geography? But Daniel's vision gets even more specific. He saw something that modern scholars are just beginning to understand. I was considering the horns, and there was another horn, a little one, coming up among them, before whom 3 of the first horns were plucked out by the roots. And there, in this horn, were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking pompous words. That little horn is the Antichrist. And Daniel just told us he'll emerge from among the other horns, but here's what will shock you. The identity of those other horns points to a specific region of the world, and when you understand which region, everything else falls into place. I'm going to reveal that region to you, but first, you need to see how Daniel's vision connects to an even more terrifying prophecy. Fast forward 650 years, another exile, another vision, but this time the dreamer is John, and he's trapped on a prison island called Patmos. The Roman Empire has exiled him here to die, but instead of dying, he sees something that will make Daniel's vision look like a warm-up act. And here's the connection that most people miss. John's vision doesn't replace Daniel's vision, it completes it. And when you understand how these 2 visions fit together, you'll have the key to unlocking the Antichrist's origin. Then I stood on the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rising up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his horns 10 crowns, and on his heads a blasphemous name. Notice something familiar? John sees his beast rising from the sea too. But John gives us additional details that Daniel didn't include. Here's where it gets really interesting. Some believe the 7 heads in John's vision represent 7 successive empires. 5 had already fallen by John's time, 1 was currently ruling, that's Rome, and 1 was yet to come. But the beast itself represents an 8th empire that emerges from the 7. This is the key to understanding the Antichrist's political origin. Because of this, many believe the Antichrist won't create a new empire from scratch. He'll emerge from the remains of previous empires. And when you identify which empires John was referring to, you can pinpoint exactly which modern nations could produce the Antichrist. In just a few minutes, I'm going to show you the shocking list of those 7 empires, and you'll immediately recognize why 3 modern nations rise above all others as candidates. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God to blaspheme his name, his tabernacle, and those who dwell in heaven. It was granted to him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And authority was given him over every tribe, tongue, and nation. Global authority. Complete control. But here's the question that will determine your future. How do you gain control over every nation on earth? The answer lies in geography, and I'm about to show you why location is everything when it comes to world domination. For nearly 2,000 years, biblical scholars have been convinced they knew the answer. Rome, the eternal city, the empire that crucified Christ and scattered the Jews. It had to be Rome. And I'll be honest with you. Their evidence is compelling, so compelling that we almost stopped our investigation right here. But then I discovered something that changes everything. When Daniel spoke of the 4th beast, he described it as dreadful and terrible, exceedingly strong. The Hebrew words he used specifically indicate crushing power and iron strength. This perfectly describes Rome's military machinery and legal system. Rome conquered the known world. Rome perfected the art of crucifixion. Rome destroyed Jerusalem in 70 AD, exactly as Jesus predicted. But here's where the Roman theory gets really interesting. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. But in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. And for the overspreading of abominations he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation, and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. This is Daniel's 70th week prophecy. The Antichrist will confirm a covenant, a peace treaty with Israel. But notice the phrase, he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. This means the Jewish temple must be rebuilt before the Antichrist can desecrate it. And guess what? Plans for rebuilding that temple are already underway. But I'll show you those shocking details in just a moment. First, let me show you why modern Rome, the European Union, might be the prophetic fulfillment everyone's been waiting for. The EU has exactly the same geographical footprint as the old Roman Empire. It's a revival of Roman power, just as the prophecies predicted. The European Union represents the most successful attempt at unifying Europe since the Roman Empire. It has its own currency, its own laws, its own military forces. It's essentially a modern version of Imperial Rome. The EU isn't just similar to Rome, it's the continuation of Rome. But when will he arrive? He's not coming at random. He's not hiding in the shadows forever. He's waiting for one specific moment, and that moment is almost here. Right now, the world is racing toward a global crisis. Wars, collapses, technology merging with human control. Peace talks are heating up. Israel is surrounded by tension. And the whole world is crying out for one thing, a leader who can fix it all. He shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. Daniel 9:27. That's the signal. A peace agreement. That's when the Antichrist arrives on the scene, not as a villain, but as a hero. If the Antichrist rises at the moment of peace, could the current peace talks already be part of the setup? He won't come with fangs or fire. He'll come with charisma, And contracts. If you don't recognize him when he rises, you might follow him without knowing it. Let's get to the timeline. The Bible gives us a clear window when the Antichrist steps into power. Daniel 9:27 tells us he'll confirm a covenant with many for 1 week. That week in prophecy means 7 years, the final 7 years before Jesus returns. And the Antichrist's arrival marks the start of that countdown. That means when you see a peace deal involving Israel and many nations, that begins the final 7 years. That's when the Antichrist officially comes onto the world stage. First, the peace treaty, then the deception, then the destruction. He won't look like a monster. He'll look like the answer to everyone's prayers. Once the 7 years begin, the first half, 3.5 years, will seem peaceful. By peace, he shall destroy many. Daniel 8:25. The Antichrist will help stabilize economies. He'll bring enemies together. He may even help rebuild the Jewish temple. And people will say, finally, we have peace. But it's a trap. It's a setup for the second half, the time Jesus called the Great Tribulation. When the world celebrates peace, the enemy prepares war. Some rabbis in Israel are already discussing plans for a third temple. The furniture is built. The priestly garments are made. They're just waiting for the green light. The Antichrist's peace will feel like salvation until it turns into enslavement. Halfway through the 7 years, at the 3.5-year mark, something changes. The Antichrist drops the mask. In the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. Daniel 9:27. He stops the temple sacrifices. Then, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. 2 Thessalonians 2:4. This is the abomination of desolation. It happens at the exact middle of the 7 years. That's the point when it all falls apart. And that's when the world sees his true face. He signs peace. He gains power. He enters the temple. Then he demands worship. The one they praised becomes the one they fear. From that midpoint to the end of the 7 years, the world enters the Great Tribulation. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world. Matthew 24:21. During this time, the Antichrist enforces the mark of the beast. Those who refuse it can't buy or sell. Believers are hunted. Satan is unleashed through this man. And the entire planet feels the weight of prophecy. Could the technology for the mark already exist? Are we closer to that 3.5-year point than we realize? Microchip implants, global digital ID systems, and AI surveillance have all been rolled out in recent years. The tools for control already exist. They're just waiting for a crisis and a leader. The second half of the 7 years isn't just about control, it's about the final war for the human soul. This isn't science fiction, this is the Bible's final warning, and you need to be ready before the countdown starts. After he breaks the covenant, the Antichrist sets up the abomination of desolation. He enters the temple. He stops the daily sacrifices. He demands worship. He unleashes persecution on anyone who refuses his mark. It was given unto him to make war with the saints. Revelation 13:7. And for a time, it looks like he's winning. Churches close. Believers hide. The beast speaks loud and the world listens. But then, trumpets sound, seals break, bowls pour out, heaven starts moving, and earth starts falling apart. He may rule for a moment, but heaven rules forever. Will anyone stop him? Is there any power strong enough to break the beast? Yes, and he's on his way. The Antichrist gathers the nations at Armageddon. They're ready to destroy Jerusalem, ready to wipe out God's people once and for all. But suddenly, the sky cracks open. I saw heaven opened, and behold a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. Revelation 19:11. Jesus returns with eyes like fire, with a sword from his mouth, and with the armies of heaven behind him. The Antichrist looks up, and his time runs out. The beast who terrified the world now trembles. The Bible never says Jesus fights the Antichrist with weapons. He destroys him with his words. The Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. 2 Thessalonians 2:8. One word from Jesus, and the Antichrist falls. Jesus doesn't need missiles. He doesn't need tanks. He speaks, and the beast's armies collapse. The skies darken. The earth shakes. The Mount of Olives splits, and the throne of the Antichrist turns to dust. The beast was taken, and with him the false prophet. Revelation 19:20. They're not put in prison. They're not given a second chance. They're thrown alive into the lake of fire. No trial, no mercy, just eternal judgment. The world's last tyrant becomes heaven's first target. What about Satan? If the Antichrist is destroyed, what happens to the one who gave him power? After the Antichrist is cast into the lake of fire, the Bible says, "And he laid hold on the dragon, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years." Revelation 20, verse 2. The deceiver is chained. He is shut up in the abyss. He can no longer accuse, no longer whisper lies, no longer rule. Jesus begins to reign, and the saints reign with him. For 1,000 years, peace fills the earth. The kingdom of the beast is gone. The kingdom of Christ is here. The false king is judged. The serpent is bound. The real king takes the throne. If you follow the beast, you fall with him. But if you follow Jesus, you reign with him. The lake of fire is permanent. Even after the 1,000 years, the Antichrist is still there, burning. He is never released. He never escapes. His judgment is eternal. So what does this mean for you? Why does this matter? Because the spirit of the Antichrist is already here. Even before the man rises, the deception is rising. False peace, false signs, false worship. The beast is coming, but you still have time to choose. If any man worship the beast, he shall drink of the wrath of God. Revelation 14:9. This isn't just a prophecy, it's a warning. The world will embrace the beast, but only the wise will escape him. What happens to those who refuse the mark of the beast? 7 things that will happen. Number 1, they will run into the wilderness. When Jesus walked the earth, he spoke with love. But he also spoke with a very clear warning. And one of his most serious commands in the Gospels wasn't wait. It was this: when you see the abomination of desolation, flee to the mountains. Matthew 24, verses 15 to 16. 3 words that could save your life. Run. Leave everything. Don't turn back. But here's what most people miss about this warning. This was a warning he gave to his followers who would evade the Antichrist. Why would Jesus tell his followers to flee into the wilderness? Because when the Antichrist rises, some will stay, but some will run. And those who obey Jesus' words might be one of the only few who survive. But Jesus' words in Matthew 24 aren't just history, they're prophecy. He says there will be a time of unmatched tribulation at the end of the age. A time so terrible that if God didn't cut it short, no flesh would survive. And in that time, let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Matthew 24, verse 16. But which mountains? Where are they fleeing to, and why? The answer is hidden in one of the most mysterious visions in all of Scripture. To find answers, we jump to Revelation 12, and what we discover there will change how you see current world events. It begins with a vision, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. Revelation 12, verse 1. Cosmic imagery. Earthly implications. Some believe that this woman represents Israel, while some believe that she represents the remnant. She gives birth to a male child, one who is destined to rule the nations with a rod of iron. The Messiah, the one Satan has been trying to destroy since Eden. But then comes the dragon, Satan. He tries to devour the child. He fails, frustrated, enraged, desperate. So he turns to attack the woman instead. If he can't destroy the Messiah, he'll destroy the Messiah's people. And here's the key verse that unlocks everything. The woman fled into the wilderness to a place prepared for her by God. Revelation 12, verse 6. A place prepared by God. Not improvised, not last minute, prepared. Is Israel fleeing again? And what wilderness is God preparing? The answer will astound you. Now imagine this scenario unfolding in real time. The Antichrist rises. He sets up the abomination of desolation in Jerusalem, something unthinkable. And those who know Scripture recognize it instantly. The ultimate line has been crossed. They remember what Jesus said. They remember what Revelation promised. So what do? They flee. But this isn't just any escape. This is God-led. But the woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle that she might fly into the wilderness to her place. Revelation 12, verse 14. Wings of an eagle. Divine transportation. Supernatural speed. God gives wings. God prepares the place. God shelters His people. While the world descends into chaos, God orchestrates the greatest rescue mission in history. But what is this place? Where do they go? And how long will they stay? The Bible is incredibly specific about the timeline. Revelation is precise. Where she is nourished for 1,260 days. Times, and half a time. 42 months. All of these equal 3.5 years. So what's happening during these 1,260 days? The answer should make your blood run cold. This is the second half of the Great Tribulation. It's the darkest time in human history. The Antichrist is at full power. Satan is furious. But God hides His people in the wilderness. And just like in the days of Moses, God takes them through a desert, not to destroy them, but to transform them. Now this is where things get really interesting. But what wilderness is it talking about? The woman fled into the wilderness to a place prepared by God. Revelation 12, verse 6. No name, no coordinates, just a place prepared. Could this be a real place on the map today? Could the location already be waiting in silence for its prophetic moment? What if the answer is right in front of us? Some scholars believe it could be Petra, the ancient rock city in Jordan. And when you look at the evidence, it's almost too perfect. Why Petra? It's hidden in rugged terrain, natural camouflage, invisible from satellites unless you know exactly where to look. It's surrounded by cliffs and narrow passageways, easy to defend. One way in, multiple escape routes out, a tactical nightmare for any attacking force. It has a long history of being a refuge. For centuries, people have hidden there when they needed to disappear. But there are other possibilities that might surprise you. Others point to the Negev desert in southern Israel. Think about it. It's vast, isolated, empty, and Israel already controls it. Could this wilderness, seen as useless by most, soon become one of the most important places in end-time prophecy? Or maybe we're thinking too literally. Still others wonder if the wilderness is more symbolic than geographic. Maybe it's not just a location. Maybe it's a season, a time of isolation, a place of refining, a moment of spiritual transformation. Therefore I will allure her and bring her into the wilderness and speak tenderly to her. Hosea 2:14. What if God's plan isn't just to protect Israel from danger, but to meet them in the place of desperation? But here's what we do know. The woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle that she might fly into the wilderness where she is nourished. Revelation 12:14. 3 divine actions that guarantee success. God leads. He doesn't just point the way. He guides every step. God lifts. Supernatural transportation when natural means fail. God provides. Sustenance in the barren place. Water from the rock. Manna from heaven. So even if we don't know the name of the place, God already has it prepared. The escape route exists. The supplies are stockpiled. The timing is predetermined. And if He's preparing a place, it means He's already planning the escape. He's one step ahead of the enemy, and always right on time for His people. But there's something bigger at stake here. And this is where prophecy becomes personal. If this wilderness place exists, then that means the persecution it protects from is also very real. You can't have a refuge without a reason to run. This means the Antichrist's agenda against Israel will reach a boiling point. This means Satan's fury against the covenant people will explode. This means that fleeing won't be optional. It will be a matter of life or death. When compromise means death, running means life. So understanding the wilderness isn't just about curiosity. It's about survival. Because if God is preparing a place of escape, that means the thing they're escaping from is coming. Here's what you need to ask yourself. If God is preparing an escape route for His people during the darkest hour in human history, what are you doing to prepare? Are you watching the signs? Are you ready to recognize the moment when flee becomes the only option? Because when that moment comes, and the Bible says it will come, those who know what to look for will know what to do. Those who don't, won't. Number 2, they will not be able to buy or sell. He causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark. And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark. Revelation 13:16. This isn't a suggestion. It's a prophecy, and it's coming. The mark of the beast isn't about convenience. It's not about technology. It's about control. It will control who eats and who starves, who works and who is locked out, who survives and who disappears. This is the moment when the economy becomes your enemy. You will either take the mark or lose the ability to live in the system. There will be no neutral ground, no quiet middle, no compromise without cost. Revelation doesn't just say that the mark is required. It says that every person will face the choice, small or great, rich or poor, famous or forgotten, every class, every race, every generation. The world will come under a single system, one mark, one economy, one decision. Mind-blowing fact. The Greek word for mark in Revelation is charagma. It means a stamp, etching, or branding, often used on slaves. The moment you take the mark, you belong to the beast. Your worship is no longer optional. Your freedom is gone. Your soul is on the line. If any man worship the beast and his image, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God. Revelation 14:9. But what kind of system could actually enforce this? How close are we to seeing it rise? Revelation 13 paints a terrifying picture. This sounds radical, unthinkable, unbelievable until you realize it's already been done. Controlling the economy to control people is nothing new. It has happened before. In the Roman Empire, Christians were forbidden from buying in the marketplace unless they burned incense to Caesar, a political ritual considered an act of worship. Refuse to comply, and you starved. Sound familiar? Number 3, they will make war with the Antichrist. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. Revelation 13:7. There is a war coming, but not the kind fought with tanks or missiles. And the targets? The saints. Let that verse settle in. It doesn't say the saints will overcome, it says the beast will. It was given unto him. Permission was handed over. By who? By God. God will allow the beast to declare war on believers, not because he's weak, but because the time for testing will come. Mind-blowing fact. Revelation 13:7 says the beast is given power over every kindred, tongue, and nation. This is global, not local. No country, no constitution, no court system will protect the saints. You will not be protected by your nation. You will not be saved by your rights. The world will see you as an enemy of peace. And because you will not bow to the beast will come for you. He will make war. The saints won't be hated because they're violent. They won't be hunted because they cause chaos. They'll be targeted because they refuse to compromise, because they stand for a truth that unmasks the lie, because they speak against the system that the world has fallen in love with. Ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Matthew 24:9. Number 4. They will not be harmed by God's judgments, but something catastrophic starts to happen. The world is hit with all sorts of disasters like floods and earthquakes. Then something even more horrifying happens. The mark starts to hurt and smell awful. It turns into a terrible sore. No one can help, and everyone with the mark is suffering unbearably. Some people are confused, but others know the truth. They understand what's really going on. They know this isn't because of a global attack or a war. These people who are left out understand the real truth and have picked their side. Even though they've faced enormous pain, they see what's happening. They know something the rest of the world missed. They know that the Antichrist is a leader who wants to take Jesus' place. He was almost killed, but somehow healed, and everyone was tricked by him. So many people followed him without thinking. They also understand that the sores aren't from this world, but come from a distant place. These troubles come from the temple of God way up in heaven. The temple of God in heaven is a mysterious place. Many people don't even know there is a temple in heaven. But what happens there determines what happens here. This temple is mentioned in the book of Revelation, chapter 11. When the temple is closed, it means a huge warning and judgment for the whole world, the worst ever seen or that will ever be seen. It would be the final judgment for the world. When the temple is first opened, many strange things happen. First, the Ark of the Covenant is found again, but that's just the beginning. But everything is about to change. 7 angels appear in the temple and change everything. What they're carrying will terrify the world. After these things, I looked, and the temple, sanctuary of the tabernacle of the testimony in heaven was opened, and the 7 angels who had the 7 plagues, afflictions, calamities, came out of the temple, arrayed in linen, pure and gleaming, and wrapped around their chests were golden sashes. Then one of the 4 living creatures gave to the 7 angels 7 golden bowls full of the wrath and indignation of God, who lives forever and ever. And the temple was filled with smoke from the glory and radiance and splendor of God and from his power. And no one was able to enter the temple until the 7 plagues of the 7 angels were finished. Revelation 15, 5-8. 7 bowls, 7 plagues, 7 final judgments. This judgment is so serious that heaven itself goes into lockdown mode. These angels are bringing God's judgment. They came straight from the heavenly temple, right from God's presence and throne. They're not acting independently. They wear special clothes, pure, bright linen with golden sashes around their chests. This shows us that even though judgments might seem harsh, they come from a fair and good place. It's easy to think that devastating judgments come from evil sources, but this reveals something different. A massive judgment is coming to the earth, and no one can stop it because it comes from a just and righteous God. These aren't fallen angels causing chaos. These are heaven's elite carrying out divine justice. Yes, the Bible talks about evil angels who cause chaos and destruction, but that's not what's happening here. The Bible clearly says these angels are righteous and not fallen. The angels are given bowls, and God's glory fills the temple with a cloud. This means that things happen in the spiritual world before they show up in our physical world. While earth sleeps, heaven prepares. People can predict the weather, like when it will rain or which way the wind will blow, but God's ways are different. We can't figure out how God's temple works using science. We only know these secrets because God has told us, and this knowledge can give us comfort. Many Christians need to realize they already have answers to the world's big questions, including how everything will end. Heaven's order is perfect. When this judgment starts, no one is even allowed to enter the temple of God. This shows that heaven does not take this judgment lightly. Even the angels can't go back in. Once this judgment starts, nothing can stop it. Heaven is completely prepared. The temple doors are shut. The 7 angels are ready, and people are positioned to receive these bowls. The point of no return has been reached. Then I heard a loud voice from the temple saying to the 7 angels, "Go and pour out on the earth the 7 bowls of the wrath and indignation of God." So the first angel went and poured out his bowl on the earth, and loathsome and malignant sores came on the people who had the mark of the beast and who worshipped his image. Revelation 16, 1-2. By reminding us of these plagues, these judgments show that just as God protected his people in Goshen during the plagues, he will also protect them from his judgments. God's people have protection. Everyone else has problems. Number 5, some are sealed with the mark of God. Deep in the book of Revelation lies one of the Bible's most mysterious prophecies, a group so special, so protected, so set apart that they carry God's personal seal on their foreheads like divine identification badges. But here's what will blow your mind. These aren't just any believers. These are God's special forces for the end times. Who are they? Why them? And what's their mission that's so critical it requires direct intervention from heaven itself? The book of Revelation has 3 references to a group of people numbering 144,000. Revelation 7:4 says, "And I heard how many were sealed, 144,000, 12,000 sealed from every tribe of the sons of Israel." But here's the question that haunts biblical scholars. Why are they sealed? Think about it. Out of billions of people on earth, only 144,000 receive this divine protection. What makes them so special? When are the 144,000 sealed? The timing will shock you. They are sealed to be protected from future judgment, but not just any judgment, the worst period in human history. Picture this scene. The book of Revelation first mentions this group of people after 6 seals have been opened, causing misery and destruction to the earth's inhabitants. These 6 seals include representations of false prophets, war, famine, and pestilence through 4 horses, followed by a religious inquisition that led to the deaths of faithful Christians and heavenly signs. In this teaching about the future, Jesus described this time as one of great tribulation, such as has not been since the beginning of the world until this time, no, nor ever shall be. Matthew 24, 21-22. "For at that time there will be a great tribulation, pressure, distress, oppression, such as has not occurred since the beginning of the world until now, nor ever will again. And if those days of tribulation had not been cut short, no human life would be saved. But for the sake of the elect, God's chosen ones, those days will be shortened. Think about the level of destruction that would require divine intervention. But here's where it gets absolutely incredible. In the following chapter, it is explained that 4 angels who are ready to bring destruction are instructed not to harm the earth until this specific group of people has been sealed. Imagine angels of destruction being told to stop because God's people aren't protected yet. Then I saw another angel coming up from the rising of the sun, holding the seal of the living God, and with a loud voice he called out to the 4 angels to whom it was granted to have authority and power to harm the earth and the sea, saying, "Do not harm the earth, nor the sea, nor the trees until we seal, mark, the bondservants of our God on their foreheads." Even the forces of destruction must wait for God's protection plan. In the New Testament, the word sealed originates from a Greek word that means to stamp with a private mark. Like a royal signet ring, instant recognition of authority and ownership. It means to keep something hidden or protect or conserve the sealed object. But here's what most people don't understand about ancient seals. The use of seals was common in official contexts. For example, a Roman centurion would have affixed a seal to a document that was intended solely for the review of his superior. If the seal were broken, the person who received the letter would know that the letter had been altered or read by someone other than the person who had originally sealed it. God's seal works the same way. It's tamper-proof, authentic, and carries ultimate authority. We see the seal of God in the book of Revelation. Many different groups have claimed to be the 144,000. But here's the problem with that. Insight into the identity of the 144,000 from Revelation 7 and Revelation 14 can be gleaned from certain facts. Here are the 6 qualifications that eliminate most claimants. First, the group of people referred to as the children of Israel are descendants of the biblical patriarch Jacob, who was later renamed Israel. They are also known as the Israelites. Revelation 7:4. Not just any believers, specifically Israelites. Second, their tribal affiliation is specific. Revelation 7. Not just Israelites, specific tribes with specific numbers from each. Third, during the period of God's wrath, they will be protected and triumphant, and will meet Jesus at Mount Zion upon his return. Revelation 14:1. Then I looked, and this is what I saw. The Lamb stood firmly established on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000 who had his name and his Father's name inscribed on their foreheads, signifying God's own possession. They get a personal meetup with Jesus on Mount Zion. Fourth, they are celibate. Revelation 14:4. These are the ones who have not been defiled by relations with women, for they are celibate. These are the ones who follow the Lamb wherever he goes. These have been purchased and redeemed from among men of Israel as the first fruits, sanctified and set apart for special service for God and the Lamb. Total dedication. No earthly attachments. Number 5. They are the beginning of a greater harvest. the first fruits of something bigger coming. Number 6, they are marked by integrity and faithfulness. Revelation 14:5. Perfect character, unshakable loyalty. Taken together, it is difficult to argue that the 144,000 are symbolic of the church. This isn't symbolism. This is a specific literal group with a specific literal mission. They're not the church. They're not Gentile believers. They're not a spiritual metaphor. They're God's special forces. 144,000 Jewish believers specially chosen, specially protected, and specially commissioned for the world's darkest hour. And their story is just beginning. The question isn't whether God will protect his chosen ones during the tribulation. The question is, what does their protection tell us about what's coming to everyone else? Because if God needs to supernaturally seal 144,000 people just to survive what's ahead, what does that say about the level of destruction coming to earth? Number 6, you will face death. The Bible doesn't sugarcoat it. It says plainly, I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus and for the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither had received his mark. Revelation 20 verse 4. Beheaded. Executed. This isn't symbolic. This is literal. Some who refuse the mark will die for their decision. What if the price for following Jesus was your head? This won't be hidden in a dark room. This will happen in the open, enforced by a system, celebrated by a deceived world. Revelation 13:15 says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. This is a direct prophecy. No metaphors, no parables. Worship the image or be killed. This moment doesn't arrive at random. It comes after the world accepts a false Messiah known as the beast and his mark. It comes after a second beast, a false prophet, deceives the world with miracles. This isn't just about control. This is about worship. This is about loyalty. And in the beast's kingdom, loyalty to Jesus is treason. For this to happen, public execution must be legalized again. In ancient Rome, Christians were executed for refusing to say Caesar is Lord. The second beast in Revelation, also known as the false prophet, is the enforcer. He performs miracles, gives life to the image, and demands global worship. Through digital systems, surveillance, and religious unity, this false prophet will make loyalty to Christ a capital offense. People will cheer for executions. They will think they're defending peace, but they will be crucifying the truth. And behind it all, the dragon, Satan himself. Number 7, you will see the beast fall. Those that do not take the mark will reign during the millennium with Jesus. After Jesus comes back down from heaven, he will actually set up this whole new kingdom. Jesus will reign for 1,000 years, and he will bound the devil for only 1,000 years. Revelation 20 speaks in detail concerning the final state of Satan and unbelievers. Verse 7 remarks that at the end of the 1,000-year millennial kingdom, the saints live and reign for 1,000 years. And then I saw thrones, and sitting on them were those to whom judgment, that is, the authority to act as judges, was given. And I saw the souls of those who had been beheaded because of their testimony of Jesus and because of the word of God, and those who had refused to worship the beast or his image, and had not accepted his mark on their forehead and on their hand. And they came to life and reigned with Christ for 1,000 years. Revelation 24. Who sits on these thrones? Perhaps the 24 elders representing the church, or the apostles, or the company of saints as a whole. This could be the judging of angels talked about in 1 Corinthians 6, 2-3. However, it's more likely that these saints are in charge here on earth. These saints will rule with Jesus for the same time that Satan is locked up, 1,000 years. They help run the kingdom of Jesus Christ on earth, overseeing those who move from the troubles of the Great Tribulation to the peace of the Millennium. Everyone who wins with Jesus will rule and reign with him. 1 Corinthians 6, 2-3. Do you not know that the saints, God's people, will one day judge the world? If the world is to be judged by you, are you not competent to try trivial, insignificant, petty cases? Do you not know that we believers will judge angels? How much more then as to matters of this life? Why does John only mention the tribulation saints? These people are mentioned to encourage them and show that others won't be forgotten. This is a special recognition for those who suffered during the tribulation. They faced great pain from the Antichrist, who claimed, "I will rule the earth." Now, these faithful believers hold power while the Antichrist is defeated. These martyrs are real people, but they also stand for everyone who gives their lives for Jesus. Everyone will be brought back to life from the dead, but not everyone will have the same future. The New Testament shows that there are different resurrections for the good people and the bad people. Revelation 20 talks about a first resurrection and says the people who are part of it are blessed and holy. The rest of the dead, the non-believers, did not come to life again until the 1,000 years were completed. This is the first resurrection. Blessed, happy, prosperous, to be admired. And holy is the person who takes part in the first resurrection. Over these, the second death, which is eternal separation from God, the lake of fire, has no power or authority, but they will be priests of God and of Christ, and they will reign with him 1,000 years. Revelation 25:6. And they will come out, those who did good things will come out to a resurrection of new life. But those who did evil things will come out to a resurrection of judgment, that is, to be sentenced. And I saw the dead, the great and the small, standing before the throne, and books were opened. Then another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged according to what they had done as written in the books, that is, everything done while on earth. And the sea gave up the dead who were in it, and death and Hades, the realm of the dead, surrendered the dead who were in them. And they were judged and sentenced, every one according to their deeds. Revelation 20:12-13. The second resurrection is when all unbelievers are raised. This second resurrection is tied to the second death. It matches what Jesus taught about the resurrection of judgment. And they will come out. Those who did good things will come out to a resurrection of new life, but those who did evil things will come out to a resurrection of judgment, that is, to be sentenced. John 5:29. The event that separates the first and second resurrections seems to be the millennial kingdom. The last of the righteous will be raised to reign with Christ for 1,000 years, but the rest of the dead, the wicked, will not live again until the 1,000 years are over. There will be great joy at the first resurrection. There will be great sorrow at the second. What a huge responsibility we have to share the gospel. Narpadavid. Save others, snatching them out of the fire, and on some have mercy, but with fear, loathing even the clothing spotted and polluted by their shameless, immoral freedom. Jude 23.
Many seem to be confused because they do not understand the book of Revelation. However, what if there was an animation showing the entire book? Well, we created that, and to watch that, click here.